Hi, so I'm Cheryl Jones, and I'm here with Joan Cornell, who is a fabulous jewelry designer and hand forger. And I thought today we could talk about all the fabulous things that Joan makes and how she got into hand forging, which I wanted to discuss because there's so few people who actually, women, in fact, who actually do this part of the jewelry production. So, Joan, what's going on?
Well, Cheryl, good to see you. I'm actually in my work studio right now. I wanted to give you a little bit of a visual tour and start the conversation with, I'm hoping that this will turn properly.
It does. And oh, I'm so excited to see your studio. I've never seen it.
Okay, so it is a bit of a mess because it just is. That's me. But initially, when I first started in the business, I started many years ago in 1979 with a company that sold all the jewelry equipment, machinery, supplies, etc., to all the jewelers in New York City, New Jersey, Connecticut, etc., on
Cool.
the scale of Casoy and Guess Wine.
Right. Okay.
And I worked with them for 4 years, learning how to use all of the equipment, etc. And then I segued into retail
Uh-huh.
at 78 Fifth Avenue in
Right.
Manhattan.
Yeah.
With that
Which is
said,
how we kind of know the same people, right? Because I
exactly
have a jewelry space in 578 Fifth, and
correct.
you work there, and that's how we know Manny and everybody in between us.
A wonderful family that we have collected around us in this wonderful industry. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So initially, when I started to design, I went with, at that point way back when, it was hand carving. There wasn't CAD and CAM available at
Right.
that time. We're going back to the mid 80s.
Yeah.
I went into the retail end of it, worked retail for a while, started to design while I was working with one fellow that I worked with for 16 years, who I adore. And so it was all lost wax casting
Right.
process. And that was my lean for years.
Uh-huh.
Eventually, when I moved north to where I am now and opened up my own store, I continued with the process, which then became CAD CAM
Right.
and wax casting. And I had a general contractor in New York City in the same building
Uh-huh.
that we were both in. And he produced, I call him a general, he was the one that actually produced my designs when I supplied my stones, my sketches,
Right.
and that went on for some time because I've had
Mm-hmm.
a retail entity in the Berkshires and now in Columbia County in New York State for 17 years total now.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's been a nice long ride. So what happened was, my area in the Berkshires in New York State, there was a falling away of older customers, lost a large percentage of my customer base, and couldn't
Uh,
afford to work with my general contractor as much as I love him, and we're still very good friends.
right.
So it pushed me actually into, being a little bit more industrious with and started to hand forge. Now,
I
I
see.
have never taken a class.
Okay.
I am very mechanical in general in my life.
Okay.
And I just figured, let me just give this a whirl. And I got my equipment. And when I really needed some good information, I went to YouTube.
Wow. So basically,
YouTube,
YouTube was like a great resource for you, a great
a
teacher.
great learning platform when I built my very first basket style 4-prong setting, which I'd never done. I'm only doing hand forging now 4.5 years. The
Wow.
balance of all that time in this industry was all CAD CAM casting.
Right.
So, right. So I went to YouTube. I figured I've gone there to fix my hot water on demand system. So I figured, let me just see if that's available for the jewelry industry. And it was. And it was the most amazing detailed video. And the earrings came out so magnificent. They're in my showcase actually now. They're a little dressy, so it's not for everyone. But that's what started my journey of going, wow, I can
Wow.
do this.
Okay, so back up a little bit, Joan, because not your average person, including myself, would feel comfortable with metal and heat and feeling like you could bend and manipulate and sort of solder together and come out with something that even remotely looked like a piece of jewelry, especially something so small in scale. Like, how did you, figure
Especially
that piece
larger
out?
pieces. Well, I started obviously, not obviously, actually with larger pieces. But
Okay.
the confidence of actually thinking psychologically that I can accomplish something like that comes from years of doing exactly that with other things. I think I
Okay.
grew up with a mother who was very hands-on, and I watched her. She was a single mom, raised 4 kids, and I just learned from her, you can do anything. I have flown by the seat of my pants my whole life, and you try, you know something? And believe me, I had a few meltdowns in the process. Oh my gosh, very frustrating, but nothing, daunts me. And that's just
Okay.
personality. And the thing is, for anyone that might see this video, don't ever think for any reason, no matter what you attempt to do in your life, that you can't do it. And
I
you won't
love
know
that.
until you try. And I had no idea I could.
Wow.
So at this point, 4.5 years later, I'm obviously a little bit more oiled in the process of working. And this is my go-to piece of equipment. This is an
Wow.
anvil, and this
Uh-huh.
is my sledgehammer.
Wow.
And this thing weighs a ton. So anybody who wants a really good workout in the
This is
process,
it. Your upper body must
this
look
is my upper
awesome.
body, and it's great for therapy.
Yeah,
I
I
have
bet.
to say, who needs a therapist? So this is how it begins for me with
Right.
any type of metal that I'm using. This is called casting grain,
I
and
see.
they're little pellets, okay?
Yeah.
And that you pour into what is called a crucible, which is what you melt your metal in.
Wow.
And I don't think I have an example of a melted down piece because I've already formed some things. And that's how it starts. So once it becomes a blob, goes to the anvil, gets shaped into a size and conformity that then gets rolled through the rolling mill.
Wow.
Either achieve a flat situation or
Right.
wire, which then you have to graduate down. And it's a very long, involved process. It's not just rolling it
Um,
through. You have to heat it, anneal it to soften it up, because every time you roll it through a rolling mill, it gets very hard and brittle. But
okay.
you have to torch it. And anyway, so there's a lot of steps that you work through.
Joan, are there certain metals that are easier to work with versus others that are just sort of like, oh my gosh?
Platinum is my nightmare.
Okay.
Platinum, as soft as it can be, and it
Yeah.
scratches easily, it requires very high heat.
Okay.
The one that requires the same amount of heat that I love working with 18 karat yellow gold, and I
Okay.
love working with silver.
Okay.
18 karat white gold is brittle
Hmm.
and very difficult to work, very hard because of all the alloys that are
You're
introduced
right.
to achieve the color of
Right.
white. So it's not that soft, luscious metal anymore. So
Yeah.
go-to is 18 and above, up to
Okay.
24 karat, and all types of silver because they just form so beautifully. They're
Wow.
very easy, yes.
Is rose gold is so popular. Is it really difficult to work with?
Yes, actually it is as well because of the alloys introduced. Copper
Mm-hmm.
is the main alloy, and that is also not fun to work with. And some people might love it, and some people just, might, fly with it, but it's not for me.
Okay.
Definitely, I do use a little rose gold when prompted,
Okay.
but not for inventory necessarily, unless
Right.
it's a very small piece.
Mm-hmm.
I do have also in this studio, these are some of my layouts.
Wow. Gorgeous stones. Beautiful
Thank you.
tourmalines. Wow.
Thank you. And I don't know how, yes, there's the table. And there are many other stones that I do work with that are all in these cases. I'm sorry if I'm blocking your screen right now.
That's okay. I see the table and I see all the luscious stones.
So we have many
Cool.
more. So yes, I poured stones. That is my drug.
Well, I know we're all a little bit crazy when it
Stone
comes to stones. Yeah. Because you just never know when you're going to want to use it, right? So you got to buy it then.
And something as well as I do when you need to go and find something.
You can't find it.
Ever. It's applies to dresses and shoes as well. So you buy it when you see it, and then it's there.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So like you were talking about how you started out with the CAD and then you moved over to hand forging. What sort of were the pros and cons of both of those systems or working with both of those ways of manufacturing?
Well, honestly, to work with CAD CAM, it's a much easier process. The item comes out if you have the right person working on the three-dimensional, vision.
Right,
Once it's produced, it's a much cleaner item and it's a lot less labor intensive to actually put it together.
right.
You still have to clip the sprue off, and when it's cast and you have to clean it, but primarily it's all there already. When
Yeah,
you are hand forging, it's a lot of steps, it's a lot of cleaning, the solder, etc. um, I love the CAD CAM because it's easier, and if you really need to get a project done quickly, that would be my go-to.
okay.
But I prefer the process of actually making something from scratch. I mean, there's so much energy that goes into it, so much love. And
Yeah,
I think the customer on the other side, whether they're purchasing something from the showcase or if they've commissioned me to do a piece of work, which thank God I've become good enough that that's part of it. It's an intimate exchange.
yeah, yeah.
They now have something that they worked with me on,
Right. To
you know,
create.
to
Hmm.
create it and then to produce it that way. I think it's a lot more special.
Right. And they're all one of a kind because the character, the way that you've molded the metal, everything, you're not going to do it the same. You're not going to find the same. Whereas with the CAD, you can spit out exactly the same thing by the thousands,
It's
right?
called generic and mass produced.
Yeah.
And when I showed you this shelf over here with all of these molds,
Yep.
this is the accumulation of years of doing
Yeah.
CAD and CAD. So how easy would it be for me just to whip a piece together, because I could make a store very
Right.
happy with
Yeah.
what I have here. And those will sit and probably rot.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and they do because we know that the silicone molds that I have down in my locker are all glued together and you can't use them. It's like a nasty rubber
Mess.
suit.
It becomes
Yeah,
messy. Exactly.
totally globby.
Well,
So
just so
like,
you know, they're now producing molds that don't do that anymore.
oh, really?
Yes, there is. I think it's called precision casting,
Okay.
or precise casting on 46th Street, where a lot of the casters are. And
Uh-huh.
if you go onto their website, they have a multitude of molds that I've never even heard of. For
Wow.
mixtures, exactly. And there's one that's even better than the silicone mold that has even less shrinkage.
What?
Yeah. So I think
Wow.
that's something you need to, yeah. So
Yeah, I'm definitely going to check that out
I'm
because
up in the boonies here and I try to stay as current as possible.
I love the fact that you know what's going on in 47th Street. I'm on there and I'm like, huh? What?
Thank you.
Yeah. So are there a lot of women that are hand forgers?
Well, I have to say that, I participated in a show last August
Uh-huh.
2019 called Metal and Smith.
Oh, okay.
And there were only women there. And I don't think it was by design. I think these women, and a lot of them are hand forgers. So
Wow.
it's an emerging market. And there's another show actually that is called the Melly Show at the High Line.
Mm-hmm.
And that is only for artists that hand make their jewelry. And
Wow.
that is a huge, very sought after show for,
Okay.
yeah, yes. So yeah, I think it's developing nicely. There are more women jewelers in the market, but I love to see what's happening with this industry with women.
I think that that is actually the engine for moving forward because I think that our aesthetic, sensibility, everything that we bring to the table just adds a whole different layer in terms of what's produced, how it's marketed. I think that that's really exciting. And I think that as people look for more soul in the jewelry, in the piece, I think that
Yes.
that's a moment for us to really kind of like step into that space and really
Limelight.
have a space and a voice.
It's our time now. It's our time in
Exactly.
many industries, but yes, and what you just said about bringing the soul to the market instead of the mass production, which has been constant forever.
Right.
Very good insight. Yes, I
Yeah.
agree. I
Yeah.
can, yeah.
So before we go, do you have any pieces that we can see?
Oh my goodness, let me see what I can dig up.
Okay.
I did bring a little bit home from my store, which obviously I'm not in right now. And these are very artisan. And
Okay.
here we have,
Oh my God, that's stunning.
it's a
That's
green tourmaline.
ring. Oh my God.
There's a series that I'm doing of that particular aesthetic. Here's another one. It's a slightly smaller green tourmaline. And
Wow.
this is a line that I call Wired.
Okay.
And it's all in pure fine $9.99 silver. Here is puff
That's
brace with a
stunning
beautiful
too.
pencil. It's just an accent, you know, it doesn't have to be, but then we have, I think I just showed you that turquoise. So
Stunning.
I'll go from the sublime to the ridiculous in size.
I love that.
And this is a silver
Wow.
18 karat gold. This is a beautiful aqua crystal
Stunning.
held with a little diamond on one side.
Right.
Yeah, and this is some of the newer, very casual. I went from very important evening jewelry
Okay.
to when I started hand forging to do more
Wow.
casual pieces that are transitional for day into evening.
Yeah,
Our lifestyle is not what it had been. We don't go to
absolutely.
different parties necessarily.
That's right.
That's just some of the newest, I should say. Here's a gorgeous Ethiopian opal.
Oh my goodness, that's stunning, Joan.
Great matrix in here.
Gorgeous.
Yeah,
Gorgeous.
having fun. I'm really having fun expressing for many years for 15 years, when I catered to a certain demographic, that's
Right.
what eventually left. They aged out, unfortunately.
Right.
I catered to them for what they were expecting.
Mm-hmm.
Was the big stores, they wanted something very similar to that. And what happened was when they stopped shopping, it actually gave me the license to produce what I wanted.
That's wonderful.
You're doing exactly. And so that was a blessing in disguise, actually.
Yeah. That's what it's always about. It's finding the opportunity when things feel like it's an adversity. There's an opportunity in there.
I agree.
So that's the I guess the bright spot that we have to keep thinking about right now too, while we're shutting our homes and trying to find ways to keep busy. And yeah,
Navigate the waters differently.
exactly.
And us being women that are confident and capable is what this is all about. And we will shine on.
I agree. I love that, Joan.
Thank you,
All
Sharon.
right. Well, thanks for chatting today.
Pleasure.
And I can't wait to see what else you have. So I'm going to check in again with you shortly.
I would love that. In the meantime, be well and be safe.
Okay, you too.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Okay,
Bye.
thanks. Bye-bye.